Scorpion wins. Round 2, fight. Finish him. Scorpion wins. Friendship. Friendship?
Hey, what's up, everyone?
What's up, boys?
We got Glen's Retro in the house. What's up, Glen?
TheRexerShow.
And we got Unqualified Critics.
I can't follow that, so I'll just say, hey, everyone. Happy evening.
What do we call it? Do we call you the UC? Like kind of like the OC?
I don't know, man. I didn't even come up with this name. I just rolled with it. Yeah, just UC is fine. Whatever, David. Who cares?
Wasn't there a show called like the OC back in the day? It was like
I think so, yeah.
I think
like
that was the thing, yeah.
B Hills 90210 was, and then they went to the OC for Orange County. Oh, what's up, everybody? Scott, Jolly Green, Adam, everybody, thanks for watching. Fiscal Within. What's up, guys? So today, guys, we're going to talk a little bit about this new Arcade 1-Up gizmo. I'll just call it a gizmo. I don't know what the heck you're supposed to call these things. And then we're going to talk about High Scores Netflix episodes 1 and 2, kind of getting into that. I want to know what you guys think of that. And then we're going to play a little game at the end, just a quick game. And one of our viewers is going to have a chance to win a $40 gift card, gift card. So stay tuned for that. And everybody who's watching, you guys will play along and we'll shell out some dough on the Rexer Show. Okay.
How do we know Glenn doesn't do ghost accounts and like enter? Well, do you know for sure that he doesn't do that?
Yes, he's going to try and win this gift card. But okay. Everybody hopefully joining from P-Dubs. P-Dubs was on a stream playing some Switch. I didn't get a chance to catch it, so sorry, P-Dubs. But we might bring P-Dubs on later at the end of the show. So you may get a surprise guest. Okay, let's start, guys. Let's go to this thing right here. Now, you did a video today on this, and if people want to know about it, go check it out a little more. But Arcade 1-Up comes up with these handhelds. Cool Toy did a video on it. I'll start with you, UC. I won't give my opinions yet until the end. Go ahead, UC. What do you think about this? And what did you say in your video?
Yeah, so what I said in my video was basically, one, it's not really for me. And I always have to start with that if I feel like a product's not for me. Because, I mean, we all have our own channels. We pick what we want to do our content on. We mostly do content on stuff we like or is for us. But if I wanted to do a video on this because I had a lot of opinions on it. So caveat is it's not for me. Maybe it's for somebody else. The overall TLDR on my video, I don't think it's a good decision for Arcade 1-Up, but I'm not in the business of making their decisions. For me as a customer, man, I'm not interested in this thing. The games list look interesting. Made me wish we got some of those games in a stand-up cab, and I had some comments to that effect on my video. But I think it looks really chintzy, and I just don't see any nostalgia pull for this product for anybody that was into those games. That's my view.
Listen, I was never a fan of these types of things. And even when At Games had the blasts, I mean, they were on sale for $4.99 at one point. And I was like, man, I got to get one of these and then I said, is this a waste of $4.99? Will I ever play it? But Glenn, give me your thoughts on this, and maybe compare it to the At Games Blast a little bit, or something of that nature.
Well, it's not out yet, so it's hard to do direct comparison, but there's no question that's the intent of this. Arcade One-Up and At Games tends to have a little rivalry, friendly or unfriendly, depending on how you want to look at it. So there's no question this is basically a way of getting into that market. Now, I have the Legends Ultimate, the Costco edition that came with the Blast with the arcade games on it, and it's fantastic. I mean, it's great. The emulation is great. The ones you saw at Walmart, I saw them too. Those are the $4.99. They're still there, $4.99. Basically, they're like Atari ROMs on there. They had the license. They're doing it kind of to death. But there's other blasts are not for me, except for the Pong blast. You know me and Pong.
Yeah.
But there's no question they're trying to go for that market. It depends on the price point. I mean, again, things like this are really, you're walking through a store and you catch the corner of your eye and you look at this thing. Oh, there's pretty good games on here. It's like, what, $15? I'll take it home and try it. And you get some playtime out of it and you give it to a kid, or you get it in a tag sale later. But I agree. I'm not a particular fan of this. The other ones they're working on, though, with the little TVs, the little screen ones, those I are interested in. I think those are much more my style than these will be.
Yeah, those look pretty cool. I agree. Now, I want to point out one thing about this arcade thing, and I kind of watched Cool Toys video, and if you guys watched it, and I don't know, you see, I didn't know how much you brought it up, but there is a line in the instructions or in the manual, somewhere pointed out here, that talks about adding ROMs to the ROMs folder on the SD card. Now I know some people, there was a guy named Brew Crew who commented on a few videos, and even yours, who said, oh, I think they're going to have licensed games and then you can upload them or buy them or something like that.
Little packs of some type.
Yeah, little packs.
Packs.
I don't think that is like the point of this. I don't think that's the draw for people. And what did it say exactly? Do you remember that, UC? Do you remember what it said specifically?
No, I don't. While we're talking, I can pull that back up and try to find it. My view was that I don't think they'll risk any issue with their licensors to allow, or even with a wink and a nod, any kind of unofficial ad. I'll eat my hat. I'll be super shocked if this thing is open and you can, without hacking it in some way, you can just natively run your own ROMs. I'd be surprised, but there's no question you're going to be able to add more ROMs. I mean, there's just no other explanation for that SD slot.
Well, if you watch Cool Toys video, he's sitting there going, he reads the instruction and he keeps like looking at the camera and he doesn't know what to say. He's like, I don't know what this is. He's like, I don't even, he wants to say, what is this? But
there's two things. I mean, it could also just be adding firmware updates. We don't know if I doubt there's Wi-Fi, updating the emulator, but Arcade One-Up has always been, as we all know in the community, has been very big on being politically correct with the licensors.
Yeah,
so I can't imagine
something specific about adding ROMs to a folder in the ROMs folder.
It can't be like official packs from them to do it. Now, needless to say, and again, we know the community, someone will find a way to get access to it and hack it. So whether or not that's their intent, we don't know yet, but I'll just go out there and say it, that Arcade One-Up has been very, very big on not allowing unlicensed applications on their devices.
And I just can't imagine they would change that now for this product when they don't know if this product will be successful. I imagine this product is not going to be anywhere near the kind of money they bring in from their larger cabinets overall for sales. So for them to do something that might annoy their licensors with so little upside, that someone's going to go and figure out a way to add these ROMs to their SD card. How small is the community of people that do that? It's pretty small.
Yeah. So, okay, guys. Well, I started sharing the screen a little early here, but I wanted to move on to what we want to talk about today, which is episodes 1 and 2 of High Scores. Now, did you guys watch it? You see?
Yeah, I watched it. I dug out what's that?
What video are you on? Did you get through 1 and 2?
Yeah, I watched 1 and 2. I haven't watched past 2.
Okay. And guys in the chat, let me know if you guys have watched this. We're going to talk about episodes 1 and 2. Glenn, did you watch 1 and 2? I told you to watch them so we can talk about them.
You did, and I'm going to tell you something, Rex. This is how much I enjoy your show. Okay. I enjoy your show so much. I opened up my wallet and subscribed to Netflix. I have kept away from Netflix till 3 hours ago.
Same here.
I wrote down just for you so I can watch these episodes for this. And thank you.
Okay, good. I'm glad,
because the episodes I thought were very well produced, and I really enjoyed the content they had in there.
Yeah, I'm happy with the first 2 episodes so far. We'll see how we go through the rest of them. But Glenn, get with the 21st century, man. Netflix, man, is the way to go. Get
I tried, man. I stayed away, but for your show and to be on tonight, it was a no-brainer. So
All
Netflix,
right.
you got my money, man. You got my
That's
money.
good. Send me the bill. Okay. So I want to show this one part here. I'm going to show a few clips. I'll probably get copyrighted. I don't really care about that for now. So I know, guys, but it looks like some people in the chat have watched one or two. But here's a funny part, and why this is funny is because they bring up my hometown. And let's see if I can get this to play correctly, guys.
Space Invaders prompted a video game revolution in the United States as more than 30 computer and electronics companies started designing new games and competing for our quarters.
And just like that, business was booming. Even in a city like Detroit, known as the heart of the auto industry, but where the number of licensed arcades grew by more than 20,000% in only 2 years. And the rest of the country wasn't far behind.
Okay, so they mentioned Detroit, guys. Detroit was booming in arcades, and I remember it as a kid. I remember going, with my dad taking me to, the arcade. And now, Glenn, here's my question. I'm going to start with you because they talk about Space Invaders on this first one. I was a little young for Space Invaders, but my brother, who was 3.5 years older, loved Space Invaders. But what do you remember about Space Invaders?
Well, Space Invaders came out in '78, so I was 9 years old. And I remember it was kind of funny. It was a carnival. It was a church in Yorktown where I grew up. There was a carnival, and there was this big tent. And at a carnival, they set up these arcades and pinball machines. That's how big this stuff was. You had a carnival, but they set up these video games in there. And I saw Space Invaders, and man, I blew all my money in that game. I went home. I had Sue the B. Anthony dollars. I had $2 bills. I was practically selling my body, which I still do, ladies. So Rex will give you my number. For any way to get a coin to play Space Invaders. And another fun fact about this, which I was surprised they announced in here in the episode, was the Atari contest. And the guy who came in third place, Frank Tetro, I actually know him. I actually worked with him in Yorktown Heights in Camel Video. And I thought he actually won for Asteroids. I was only, I think, 12 years old when I met him. But it was actually for Space Invaders. So I actually knew this gentleman. He was a pretty cool guy. But what they said is actually absolutely true. The Space Invaders was a phenomenon. It was the very first super game that captured people's attention. Yeah. And it did cause a coin shortage in Japan.
Yeah.
And it was just like they said. The episode here was really good, and they focused on that. And it was a really good part of it.
Well, and you speak of the person who won that tournament, not to go back to the show, to that part, but when I was watching, I had to go back and watch because I didn't know she was a boy in the beginning, and then at the end, because I was like, oh, well, a woman won that contest. I was like, pretty cool, man. And then she explains how her anatomy, and I had to put 2 and 2 together at the end there. But it was really, I wonder if your friend remembers, him at the time or her,
I'm sure he did, since he lost to him or her. He lost. I'm sure he does.
Right.
I had that same discovery process when I was watching the show too, and I was like, "Wait, did I hear something wrong?" Or I was confused.
Thank you. Now, you see, what do you remember about the first? You're too. I would say
I'm way too young. Yeah, I'll just be
arcade though that you remember walking into, and people in the chat. Do you guys remember walking into that? And I'll tell you what my first recollection was in a second. But go ahead.
So for me, it was an arcade in our mall, and it was right across from the movie theater. But then the movie theater itself had a few games, so there were options. But I don't know what year this would have been, probably beginning in 1993, thereabouts. So these weren't the games that were in arcades anymore. These games just didn't make any money. So people were on to racing games. People were on to light gun games and all of that. I have really fond memories of playing Lethal Enforcers, which I understand doesn't hold up so well. But to me, when I watched this first episode of High Score, it was a lot of arcade history that I don't know much about. And I know the show was kind of shallow, so it kind of made me want to dig deeper. And now I kind of want to look into some of those things more. I really liked when they got into the history of Ms. Pac-Man. I didn't realize they had that General Computer Corp or whatever they're called from those MIT guys. I didn't know they had done other games before Miss Pac-Man.
They glazed over a couple of parts there, but they got to the meat of it.
And I always wondered how they got away with that lawsuit and never got smashed. And I've always just been curious about that, but I've never looked into it. And I'm sure they glazed over a lot of that too, but they did explain. They
did. Atari absolutely went after them. They went after them because they really felt that they were taking money out of their pocket, and they also felt that they ripped off their code. But when the lawsuit went on, they never touched their code. Their board overlaid code that was there. So they really didn't touch anything of it. But Atari, and they were right in thinking so, that if this lawsuit didn't go their way, and it quite possibly was looking that way, they said, we got to settle now and shut these guys up and down before other people start doing the same thing. So they actually offered them a huge contract, but what they didn't talk about is they did offer them a contract to work for them to make games with no intention of them actually making games.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Months and months had gone by with nothing from Atari, but they were working on a game. They're working on Food Fight, right?
Okay.
And they came with the game. And they went to Atari. So we did our first game. And they're like, we didn't think you were actually going to make the game. The money was just to shut you up. So you looked at the game, and then they released it.
Yeah, let's watch that part here really quick so people can understand what's going on that haven't seen it. Let me
wrote in on those things and figured out how to do it.
And basically in this part, he's talking about how he reverse engineered.
Atari has sued us for $15 million due to our missile command kit.
That had to have been terrifying.
The biggest consumer electronics company
This
on
guy
the
was happy.
planet coming after us.
To understand how we got here, you should know about this man.
Okay. So
Nolan had nothing to do with it, by the way. Nolan was already gone at this time. Just so you know.
Oh, see, I wish they would say stuff like that.
Yeah, he had nothing to do with it.
Right. But here's the thing is everybody, what they know about GCC or General, Computing Corp, they know Miss Pac-Man, right? That's what they know. Those are the three guys who are GCC. So,
but they left a piece out. They left an important piece out because when they did this, it was never Miss Pac-Man. It was Crazy Otto. That was the hack board. So when they designed it, they went to Bally and said, listen, we won this lawsuit with Atari, so we're going to do it anyway. We're going to release it and sell us. So instead of that, why don't we work with you guys? And Bally goes, you know what? Atari did cave, so we're going to do it. But we don't like this Crazy Otto thing. Crazy Otto is a little too weird. Change it up. And that's when Miss Pac-Man was born. So if you ever look at the game Crazy Otto, you'll see a lot of similarities to Miss Pac-Man because Crazy Otto was the original design before it transformed into Miss Pac-Man.
Right.
They should have talked about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me go on to the next thing. A funny thing about, I got to show this where, man, in Japan, how crazy it was. And let me see if I got the part here exactly where it is. It's 2010. Look at these guys playing, and I hope I got it right here. I mean, they were jam-packed into what they called these invader, they called them invader places or something like that.
Yep.
And
Invader houses.
Invader houses, and look at these guys. They're jam-packed in there playing.
That's great footage.
I mean, that's incredible.
And look at that posture too, man. Look how bad that posture
tell mothers slapping them. Sit up straight.
I know.
Jesus, that makes
all
my
these
neck
guys
hurt.
must have scoliosis,
Right.
You have to realize the time frame this was. Back then, there wasn't many gaming consoles. Maybe you had Pong, right? You didn't have anything like this. So back then you went to the arcades, and this was a huge thing back then. This is, what Fortnite, Minecraft, is today, but you had to go out to play it. And it was great. I remember those days, man. They were awesome. Awesome.
Yep. Oh, Wagner's Tech Talks, enjoying the show. Thank you for the super chat. As always, thank you, Wagner's. Great discussion. Okay. So let's I want to talk. Well, they talk about the flow. You guys remember that part where the guy comes up with the flow when you're in the zone? I wanted to show that clip, but I just
nice
thought
pseudoscience they floated in there. For
I'm like, we've known about the zone or being in the zone forever, and this guy gets credit for calling it the flow. I mean,
I think they needed to fill out some time.
I think they're getting money from Progressive.
Yeah. The other thing I want to talk about, which I know about, but I don't really know about, was they talk about the guy who kind of was responsible for the cartridge advantage.
Yeah.
And he did Channel F.
Jerry Lawson.
Yeah. Glenn, do you have a Channel F? You got to have.
Oh, I most certainly do.
Okay.
My original Channel F broke along when I was a kid, so I got rid of it. So I have the second rendition of it, which was basically just the controls were removable and it was a little different design. But yeah, I feel really bad. And they talked about it. And actually, I was tearing up a little bit because I felt for the son when he's talking about his father had a huge contribution contributing factor to this whole industry. And it's not Nolan Bushnell's fault per se, but Atari just so overshadowed the Channel F that it was basically stomped out of the gaming history. But people do remember it. There is a pretty big fan base for the Fairchild, and it's really, if you catch it, Willie over at Arcade USA had a couple of videos just of it recently.
Yeah.
For its time, again, this came out before the Atari 2600. First machine with cartridges. The controller was very advanced. You had a 8-way joystick. You had a 2-direction twist top. You had to pull up and push down on these controllers. It was very advanced. And actually, I know you guys are going to say you're too young, but on Channel 11, WPIX, they used to have a thing in between the cartoons called Pix. And you would call in and then have one of these Fairchilds or an Intellivision game on the screen. And you would say, Pix, 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 to make something happen on the screen to try and win a prize. But originally it was the Fairchild that they used there. And this guy was a genius. He was a gentle giant. He was such a nice guy. And he should never be forgotten for what he did here. And again, it's not Atari's fault. It's just, like anything, the winning company, the winning country kind of writes, history.
Yeah.
I love how any random obscure gaming topic, and Glenn, you have so much knowledge, man.
Yeah,
it's
ridiculous.
It's amazing.
That's why we got to have him on for this topic.
No
So
kidding.
I'm good for the old stuff. You guys are good for the new stuff.
Well, speaking of that, so Atari was basically my first console. What was your first console, UC? I know you're going to say like PS3 or something. You're so young.
I'm not that young. I had a 2600. You know how it is with your early memories. I don't know the chronology of things. I don't think the 2600 was my first. Like I obviously I got it way after it was a thing. Like I picked up a used one probably at a yard sale. I remember having an NES in the house, and I actually so NES was my first console because I can remember going to pick it up. It was one of my mom's friends she works with was selling it, and so we're driving out to like some obscure part, a county over. I'd never been there before. It's like this adventure. We're gonna get this Nintendo. I didn't really even know what Nintendo was, but I knew I was excited. And I remember we got to the house. And the mom's kid who's selling this to me, I think we paid like $100, got the console and some games. I said, well, why are you selling this? I was excited to get it, but why are you selling this? He said, well, because I got the Super Nintendo. So that must have been what it was. And so this would have been around 92 or whatever, 93. And I just suddenly was less hype. And that was really like a dumb reaction. I should have still been hype. Obviously, NES is a great console. But it's funny how hearing like, oh, but that's not the latest. Well, damn it, I'm getting the hand-me-down. But so NES was my first console. Yeah,
some people, Pong, Atari, let us know what was your first console, because, the two I remember are Atari and Intellivision. But here's the one thing about Atari that some guy says in this episode, this little kid, they talk about Pac-Man, and Pac-Man's growing, and everybody's excited for Pac-Man to come out in the Atari 2600. And I got Pac-Man, and it was pretty bad. I mean, it was horrible, really bad. But everybody expected the like great graphics of Pac-Man. It's like, no, you can't. You guys over expected of what they could deliver, but the sound was bad and the movement was bad. And I still played it, but
completely agree with that. It was just a botched job port. And to be quite honest, another fact is that was basically a working prototype. And Atari just said release it because they want to get it out on a certain date. He wanted to get a larger ROM and do it better. That was just a prototype to test out the Pac-Man and the motion, the clipping. And so, again, Atari screwed themselves and released an unreleased game just to get it out there. Because back then, and this is true, back then, any game company could release a dog turd and people were buying the cartridges. Right. Because back then, it just sold. It made money. They didn't care. And then people started going, you know what? No, this actually does suck. And I just spent $40 or $50 on this game, and they wanted the money back.
They did 12 games in, it gets old. And it's so ironic to me that Atari had that hippie counterculture vibe, but then they were so corporate in the bogus deadlines and
that's what killed Atari.
Art. You're right. And it's amazing that you think that company with that culture that they claim to have had would not have resulted in what it did.
It was Nolan Bushnell just basically not understanding. He was just looking for money to get the Stella 2600 released. He wasn't really thinking beyond that, not realizing that Warner is, like I said, a very IBM type of company. That the culture clash was horrible there. And that's like Activision was created because they couldn't deal with Warner anymore. They weren't getting recognition. They left and created Activision. So Atari was its own worst enemy after Bushnell. I'll make that clear. When Bushnell had Atari, it was very different. When Warner got it, And then when the Trammels got it afterwards, then it was done. And now it's even worse. Oh God, it's like a skunk.
One of the things
Vaporware,
you guys
baby.
had that you're talking about is on my notes was about the Atari business culture, and people who are in Silicon Valley now. And if you work in Silicon, you're in the chat. If you get to go to work in t-shirts and shorts and flip-flops, you owe that to pretty much the Atari in the beginning. They paved the way.
Weed, doing cocaine,
Yeah,
hot tubs with women, all that.
Yeah.
If you're still doing that, call me.
Yeah.
I'm coming out there.
Yeah, all that fun stuff's gone. It's just sandals
Yeah.
and t-shirts now, I think.
Yeah. Okay. One other thing, super missile attack. I don't remember that, Glenn, that much.
Yep.
You do? Can you talk about that if you remember playing it that much?
I do, and I did, and actually, it was hard. It was hard to sell because I'm a huge Missile Command fan as well. The old Atari games I loved, Asteroids, and Missile Command was Tempest, and Missile Command was definitely a fun game, and I was pretty good at it. And I was at the Bazaar Mall in Mount Kisco, New York, and it said Super Missile Attack. Oh, I played. It looked the same, so I didn't think too much of it. But the game literally wiped the floor with me. So they really pumped up the levels on it. But they only sold, I think they said around 2,000 of those boards.
Total. They said 1,000 in the first 6 weeks or something.
Right.
Yeah,
So it was some small number. There wasn't a comparable to how many machines out there. Wasn't a huge number.
Yeah.
But I definitely played it, and it was a harder game. But I don't know if someone was enough to keep. I didn't keep playing it. I mean, I played it once. It wiped the floor with me, and I was like, okay, I'll play Battlezone. I was like, I was gone.
Glenn, was there official artwork for it? I mean, back then, I know later on there'd be official add-ons to arcades, and they would come with artwork. But from GCC, I'm assuming they didn't have artwork. But how did the
no? There was. It did say Super Missile Attack on the marquee at the top, and on the sides. Because again, Atari did kind of go after them for that as well. And I'm not sure if they kind of finagled out of that because it was basically Missile Command's artwork, with just like Super Missile Attack kind of slapped over it.
Yeah. Well, I think Steven says it was an awesome game. I hope he's talking about Super Missile Attack. But let me tell you my quick story really quick about going to the arcade. So I don't remember Space Invaders like my brother, but I remember Pac-Man because he was 4 years older than me and I was 5, 6 when it came out. And your dad or whatever takes you to the arcade. We all go as a family and Pac-Man's there. And so I start playing Pac-Man. I love it. And then I go home. And then I hear about, there's patterns, so I get the book and I start reading the patterns, and I start kind of memorizing them. We go back at one point and I'm doing the patterns, and the patterns are like, go through here, you go through a ghost. And I'm like, this isn't going to work. Boom, right through the ghost in the pattern. I'm going, yes, I'm like, this is awesome. But it kind of, when you learn all the patterns, it kind of kills the game to some extent,
It does.
So
that ghost thing, when you didn't know the pattern, and you're like, oh, I'm dead. And you're like, no, you're not. Like, oh, and you go back to grab the controller. I mean, you're freaking out. Like, what happened? You didn't know.
Yeah, you didn't know some of that stuff. So, okay, let's move on to episode 2. Okay, there wasn't much that I really want to show in episode 2, but it's a lot about NES, and NES was great. That was one of my first, my favorite consoles, I guess, of my first when I got it when I was 11 or 12 or whatever it was. And I just remember playing Double Dribble and Super Mario, and those were like the first 2 games. But okay, let's take a look at this segment right here, and I want to see if you guys remember, these guys, because the counselors, because I don't remember them. And let me see.
I knew of them, but I never called in.
Hopefully, I got the audio here working. Are you guys ready? Let's see. And they show this one guy a whole bunch, I don't know who he was, but
A and B buttons.
Parents, there appears to be no escape. Video games are back with a vengeance. Nintendo of America, based in a suburb of Seattle, has cornered about 75%.
And these guys are just playing on those. They're all using the fight sticks, which was interesting.
Nintendo's success has created a demand for a lot of jobs, playing video games and talking on the phone.
Apparently some third party made one for the classic.
Men and women who work 8-hour shifts as Nintendo game counselors.
Nintendo game counselors.
Too good to be true, right?
Yeah.
A 17-year-old named Sean
Bloom.
Bloom.
Go on to show that guy forever. Okay. Glenn, did you ever call these guys? Did anybody in the chat call these guys?
No, I've
I
known about them. My friends did. Back in the day, they call. I never did. But yeah, I mean, people did. It was more of a shock that people got paid for it, though. That was the thing. People get paid to do this. That was more of a shock than anything. Yeah,
and those people were busy on phone, but I don't know anybody who called in. We all use Nintendo Power, like it said. So one kid had Nintendo Power, and the thing went around the class, and that was how it went.
I think it predated Nintendo Power, though.
It did. It did, but nobody, I'm sure it cost money, and I wasn't going to go to
Yeah,
my
it
parents
costs
and say,
money.
maybe somebody knows how much it costs, to call. Maybe it was like a minute per, whatever, or 10 cents per minute or something. Who remembers about how phones
How many
worked
slaps
back
am I going to get on the phone bill when Dad finds out I called?
Exactly.
I vaguely remember that it was really
Exactly.
expensive. That's my only memory of it.
Vulture says for the G.I. Joe game he called in, friends would call and mess with them. I guess that's pretty funny, but yeah. So I don't remember, any of these counselor stuff. But the other interesting thing about episode 2 was the lawsuit about Donkey Kong. I really found that interesting, and the most interesting part, which I didn't know, is the lawyer who represented them. They ended up making a game after him, and that game was Kirby. All the Kirbys. But Glenn, what do you know about that?
Well, about the Donkey Kong or the Kirby?
Well, any of it. The Donkey Kong lawsuit. Were you aware of that? Was anybody aware of that?
Yeah. I mean, there was a whole bunch of things. I mean, the Donkey Kong history is strewed all over the place. I mean, Atari, Coleco, and Nintendo were all kind of at each other's throats. Nintendo actually was kind of innocent at the whole thing, and so was Coleco. Basically, when Atari back then was it. I mean, no matter what Atari is today, back then Atari was the Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft combined back then.
Yeah.
And so when Nintendo was coming out with their console, they were going to really sell all the rights to Atari outside of Japan. And they're like, here, you're the big guy, you sell our console. And Atari was going to do it, but Atari was also working on the 7800 system. So they said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to stall them long enough to get our console out there, and then they'll be too late to come to market. And then basically Warner pulled out of Atari and Tramiel came in, and that all kind of fell apart. So Nintendo had to go out on its own. And a side story is you got to thank Worlds of Wonder and Teddy Ruxpin for Nintendo being what they are today. Do you know why?
Why?
Because after the gaming crash, no one wanted to touch a gaming console, which is why the NES looked the way it did. I bought it with the robot because it was a toy versus a video game. No one was going to touch it. Nobody.
Yeah.
But everyone wanted laser tag and Teddy Ruxpins.
Yeah.
So Nintendo knew some people over there, and it made a couple calls. And basically, if you wanted to order a Teddy Ruxpin or laser tag, you had to promise to buy X amount of Nintendo Entertainment Systems. And everyone's like, we don't want to freaking do that. We don't want that. Well, hey, you don't have to. You're not going to get any Teddy Ruxpins for Christmas or laser tag. So belligerently, they did it, but they said, okay, if you can't sell the NESs, Nintendo's got to take them back.
Well, and
Nintendo goes, that's fine.
It was interesting too because they said how they piloted it in New York and they wanted to see how it did. And they said, oh, it didn't do that great. They were like, oh, it didn't do that great.
Not at first.
Yeah, which is crazy that it didn't do that great, and that was the test market. But
well, remember when I got it, you got Gyromite and Duck Hunt. There was no Super Mario Brothers then. There was no killer app. The robot is kind of cool for about 10 minutes, and you want to break its head off because it's too slow.
Right.
But when I got it, the Nintendo, I thought it was kind of neat. I thought the graphics and sound were really good. But so when this all said and done, Atari had Donkey Kong's rights for their computer line. And Atari is very strict with their licensing. They determined, well, we got really all of Donkey Kong, which wasn't really true because Coleco was selling Donkey Kong with the ColecoVision. And Atari didn't care too much until they saw it on the Atom computer at CES. And they lost their nut. And they went to Nintendo and says, this deal's off. You're done. Now, Nintendo was furious because they thought that was their only hope. So they went to Coleco, and they were ripping Coleco into a-hole. Because why'd you do this? And Coleco says, whoa, we thought we had the rights to. We didn't realize we won't do it. But they did anyway. And Atari, again, really never truly intended to go through with the contract. It was a stall tactic.
Okay.
So then, even back then, Donkey Kong was just a big deal then. That's all. It was huge.
Yeah. You see, what do you remember about Nintendo? You're Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously remember the original Mario. I mean, that was the main thing that I played. I don't think I had the Gyromite game. I remember wanting it, but then I remember hearing it was trash.
Yeah.
I also remember the cartridges being, or the artwork, I should say, the box art being like representative of the game. And I've read that was a big initiative for Nintendo early on. They didn't want people to see a game that they bought in the store, take it home, and have it just look way worse, like you would get with Atari. And so it just seems like there were just these aftershocks for years from so many people burned out on these crappy garbage Atari games.
Yeah.
And in some ways, you know, I mean, video games were going to have a resurgence. There's no question. It was going to happen eventually. But it feels like in some ways we're kind of lucky that things turned out the way they did. And then there was such a quick rebound.
Well, I remember that crash where that gap before Nintendo, it was just bad. I mean, there was no good video games. Everything, you know, just stunk, you know, and then boom, the Nintendo came out and it was a game changer. But
you know why that was real quick is because the NES put that lockout chip in there. Atari and Mattel, Coleco, first party games for the most part were very good, but they had no way to stop people from making, you know, Chuck the Chuck Wagon game.
Wait, Glenn, question for you on that, because I've never understood then, how did Chiller happen?
Well, Chiller was an arcade game.
No, there was a Chiller NES unauthorized cart that was.
Oh, eventually it was, you know, they cracked, you know, the lockout chip. In fact,
all right, so that was just way later.
It's a whole other side story with Atari and another lawsuit. It was a messy, but that's what really saved. And people hate it kind of today, the high licensing fees, but and NES and that lockout chip kind of saved the industry, stopping people just making absolute crap games, which is what
Seal
killed
quality, baby.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, Glenn, you'll go on forever. Really quick.
I will.
I'm looking forward to episodes 3. I'm not looking forward to episode 3 because it's about Dungeons and Dragons or something. I don't know. But we'll see. You know.
Well, Sean said in the chat that it fell off toward the end. Sean, if you're still listening, tell us in the chat why you think it fell off.
Yeah, and everybody else, you know, say the good episodes. Don't say why. Just say what episode you liked and which one was your favorite. You know, because then, you know, I just wondering. I don't want to get my expectations up on episode 5 or 6 or whatever, but what episode is the best? It seems like 1 is going to be tough to beat, in my opinion. But okay, we're gonna, and guys, if you're in the chat, we're gonna give away a $40, well, $10 gift card for sure, but you'll have a chance to win a $40 gift card on some little trivia segment that I'm going to put together first. But let's bring on a special guest, as I always like to do. Surprise the folks in the chat.
Oh, the party's here.
Yeah,
that's no moon. It's the Rexer Show. How's it going, man?
Hey, that's
what up, Glenn? What up,
P-Dubs?
What's up, man?
P-Dubs
up there?
We're
doing good.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, David, that wall is just very white behind you.
I know, man. I got a window. What do you want me to put on my window?
You know, we gotta improve that, man. We gotta put like a little sticker or something on the window.
I don't know, man.
David is I call him the UC. So the UC, we got a bone.
The UC.
The UC. Me and P-Dubs got a bone.
Oh, good. What's up?
Yeah,
Let's go,
we send you a message. We send you a message.
Oh, yes.
and you don't respond for like 7 days before
10
it comes
days.
back. 10 days. It's called instant messenger for a reason.
Counting.
It's
I don't log
messenger.
in that often. I don't look at it that much. I'll do better. How about that?
Yeah.
And actually, this is how lame I am. I just finally got the Hangouts app on my phone. So message me on Hangouts and I'm right there. Facebook, I'm not on.
We're working on it. P-Dubs.
Hangouts. What is it? 2005? Hangouts?
P-Dubs.
What?
What do you want from me, man?
P-Dubs. All right. Go over what your thoughts are on episodes 1 and 2. I got to set up for our trivia. So if I don't pay attention, talk to Glenn he'll talk your ear off forever. So, but tell us what you think.
Do that. Old people talk.
Yeah, that is true. Tell us what you think about episodes 1 and 2, though, P-Dubs.
Well, I really, I liked episode 1. Episode 2, like, it was cool what them talking about. Like, the whole thing was Nintendo based. But I just felt like we were missing stuff. Like, they didn't really talk about the zapper gun. They didn't really talk about the power glove, you know, like they didn't talk about like all that cool stuff. It was just like, and kind of like David mentioned earlier, like they didn't even talk about Super Mario Brothers, really, like the first game. Like they just kind of glossed over it a bit. And that game kind of changed things, in my opinion, you know. And thanks, Adam. Glad you liked the backdrop. Yeah, yep.
It's awesome backdrop.
Sitting in the Millennium Falcon. Well, I still have my green screen set up for my live stream, so I figured why not? Let's ride in the cockpit. Now, honestly, I did watch the first 3 episodes, and Rex, I'm upset you insulted the Dungeons and Dragons episode.
Yeah. I wasn't a big Dungeons and Dragons guy, you know, just I wasn't.
But
so I don't know.
If you were a fan of me, like when I was a kid, before I even was playing Nintendo, I was playing those PC games, the Sierra games, right? And they have like the folks on there from Sierra Games in episode 3. talking about those games. So it was pretty cool to watch that part. So if I were you guys, don't let Rex talk you out of watching episode 3.
Okay.
If you love RPGs like me, you're gonna want to check that.
Do they cover Myst?
They didn't talk about Myst. No,
that was a big game for me.
But they did talk about Final Fantasy and what's the one that starts with the U? Glenn, do you remember?
Ultima, the Ultima series.
They talked about Ultima.
Right.
It was pretty cool.
Well, if the rest of the show is good, maybe we'll come back on for 3 and 4. If everybody in the chat likes that, and we'll discuss 3 and 4 and some other arcade 1-up or whatever stuff related stuff. But
I was just a little disappointed in what they covered on Nintendo. Like I think I don't know. I didn't like the pacing of the episode or stuff like that.
They spent half the time talking about that guy that won like the under 11 or whatever for. Yes. I mean, that was a great footnote, and he's a good talker and all this, but I couldn't believe how much time they dedicated to that guy.
Yeah, half the episode was talking about the score, the competitions. Maybe it's because it's called high score. Maybe that's why they're like, we're going to.
I think they just wanted to make it about people more than anything.
But it was literally, that thing could have been 2 minutes, and then they could have talked about all other kinds of stuff.
Is there some wrong information in there? What's Sean Power saying that they say the Genesis was? Is that part of the high score? Do we know what he's? Maybe he can elaborate. But I'm just wondering, is there any misinformation that you've recognized in there, Glenn? Like completely off?
No, but I agree with P-Dubs. There was just a lot of information was left out. But there's so much with Nintendo in that era. I mean, I kind of understand it, but I also think they spent too much time, like you said, on that one guy. That was a 5-minute segment that went on way too long.
Yep. After 5 minutes, I was like, who gives a shit? Let's just do this. Let's get on to the next topic.
Okay. Back to the handheld arcade 1-up speed ups. Now that we got you on, go ahead and tell us what you think of those fantastic things. I think you said you were so excited you nearly spooged your pants or something.
In my opinion, I don't even know why they're coming out with these. I don't even know why they're doing this. You know what I mean?
You sure you don't know why?
I mean, obviously that's kind of an Act Games thing. Maybe they just want to stick something out there towards Act Games. Who knows? I don't know what they're thinking, but taking a look at the molds and everything, it just looks bad. Like, the shape of the controller's bad. The little the 4-button directional pad looks bad. The buttons look cheap. It looks like something that cost them $4 to build, and they're going to sell it for 40. You know what I mean? And I don't know. And the whole side loading game, Arcade 1-Up for the last couple of years has been like, we do not support piracy. We are 100% legitimate, and everyone else is burning in hell for the sins they've committed against the arcade and gaming community.
Actually, these guys had, I don't know if you saw the Dust Up with iArcade on their Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
They did a little of that too.
I know, but I mean, these guys with Venom have been on podcast shows and in their Facebooks and their Twitter has been like, we don't agree with side-loading games. All you guys that do it suck. You guys are jerks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're the Jesus Christ of arcades. But then they say, oh, now we got a micro SD card. You can stick it in here.
Rex,
in my personal opinion, I don't think they're going to be stupid enough to let people sideload games and completely trash the reputation that they've built, right? Over the last 2 years. That would be such a complete 180 in what they've been doing the last 2 years. Like, I would literally crap my pants if that was true. I honestly think, kind of like what I think, David, you maybe mentioned it in your video, they might sell preloaded ROM packages or something on their website. Maybe Arcade 1-Up is finally getting into DLC where you can order DLC and download it to your computer, stick it on a flash drive. Who knows, Rex? Who knows?
I just don't understand. Where's the market?
Weird.
How are they weird? How many sales are they going to get on these things? Where's the market? Didn't At Games already flood the market with these things and we're selling? They had to sell them so cheap. Anyway, let's move on, guys. Let's go to the fun part. Everybody in the chat, we're going to run what I called box art trivia. And the first one to get this box art is going to win a $10 gift card. And then after, this is just for the chat people, after Glenn, UC, and P-Dubs, you guys are going to have a chance to win the person a $40 gift card instead of a $10 gift card.
What?
Yep. And you're going to play box art trivia as well. So
Rex, this sucks. This means that if we screw up they're going to blame us and not you.
That's
You
correct.
have learned how to you have learned how to pass the buck, my friend.
100% correct. Okay. So
All
here's how this game's played, guys. Again, first one to get the correct answer on this box art will win a $10 gift card with a chance to win a $40 gift card instead. I'm going to open up a piece of the puzzle here, guys. And you just have to type in the chat what game this is. And I'm going to give you guys a hint. We talked a lot about Atari. The first episode was a lot about Atari. So we're going to put an Atari game on here. So here we go, guys. I'll watch the chat, and hopefully I see you, the first one who answers it right. You guys don't say anything, but play along, okay? All right, there we go. That's the first box. I don't think it shows much.
It's
don't say anything.
We can't say anything. We can't say anything.
Glenn, you think you know it already?
Yep. Yeah, I do.
No way.
All right.
No way. I'm gonna be really in trouble then when we do the next one.
Yeah, I don't think Glenn's allowed to play it.
Let's open up the next box. I'm watching the chat.
Oh, I know what it is. I know.
I think you guys are full of shit.
Actually, I am, but I'm constipated today, but that's all right.
Let's open up the next box here.
I need prune juice.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see anybody. Guys, watch the chat. Let me know if you see anybody answering the right one. Anybody who gets it, we got 43 people in the chat.
Come on, people.
Put your guesses in the chat.
Out there.
Put your guesses in the chat, guys.
Put your guesses.
While we're waiting on the guesses. While we're waiting
on my trivia
show. Nope.
People on my trivia show do a lot better than you guys.
Come on, guys. Oh God.
Not
Who's your history?
Not Yar's Revenge.
Yep.
I got basically one
more.
more.
There we go. Wagner got it.
Wagner Tech Talk.
Right.
Show me Gorf. And
Survey says
it is Gorf. All right.
There we go.
So Wagner's Tech Talk got it. Is that who was first?
That was first.
Yep.
Right. So Wagner, you're going to get a $10 gift.
He was the super chat too, so paying it forward.
It cost him $5, so he's good.
Yeah.
So,
paying you back.
So here's that was a good guess or a good answer. Good job. A lot of people coming in with Gorf later.
Did you really know on the first square, or were you both?
No. I knew it was Gorf.
Oh,
Third
square.
Here's the issue now, guys. I'm gonna shut this down really quick here. We're gonna play for 4. You guys are gonna have a chance to change this $10 gift card into a $40 gift card. And
Sean said Custer's revenge.
So Wagner, you got a chance. If these guys can get this, here's how we're gonna do it. I'm gonna open up one box. If they get it on the first box, $40 to you. Every box I open after that is gonna be $10 off, $10 off, and $5 off.
Cool.
All right. So you guys got to do this for Wagner, man. Wagner. Now here's the other thing, guys. You gotta shut your chat because I don't want anybody. So hit the private button, private chat, please.
All right.
I don't want any cheaters.
So we can talk this time, right? We're the ones calling this one out, right?
You get one guess per box. Okay. All right. I'm a little worried now because I think that Glenn's going to get this in one box and I'm going to owe him $40. Let me switch to the new one, and I will give you a hint. It's another Atari game.
All right.
See, I don't know Atari. I'm not going to be helpful here.
Great.
Whoops.
Rex? I think
Rex is frozen. Now see, he's bailing. He's bailing out.
No, I'm back.
There we go.
Relax. You guys got me? Relax.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Oh, it's
Are you
Pong.
guys ready?
Pong.
You guys,
piece of paper. It's Pong, right?
you guys can answer in the chat and see who can win or who can get it first, because these guys, it doesn't help them. They close their chat. They don't know. Let's go with the first box here, and I hope. Let me see. I got to open up one. I said, here we go. For $40.
I only get one guess, you said, right?
You get one guess per
one
box.
per square.
One per square. You guys talk. You can talk and see what you think.
As a team?
As a team.
It's a later game. 2600. It's not much of the artwork though. Sword Quest.
It looks like Crawl to me.
Is that your answer? Is it what was it? Swords Quest?
Yeah, Sword Quest.
Is it Sword Quest?
Nice sound effect, Rex.
Go to the next box. I'm going to see if anybody's getting it in. Somebody said what I thought they said. Jolly Green said what I thought you guys would say. But that's not the right answer, actually. So let's open it up again. We'll go to box 2, and for $30 gift card, $30 for Wagner.
I know what it is.
All right.
Adventure.
Is that your final answer?
Oh, that's my final answer. All right.
You guys agree?
I'll bet on Glen.
Yep.
Let's go.
Everybody wants to
No
bet on
clue.
Glen. Is it Adventure?
Yeah.
Adventure for $30, man. Glenn, you're gonna make me broke here. That's my
Sorry, man. That's a great game too.
What was the guess that you thought we were going to guess?
It was. I thought they were gonna say. Open up your chat now for these guys. I thought you guys were gonna say Breakout on the first one because it's got that line.
No, this was actually. You know what? This is not even the original artwork for Adventure. This is during the Atari Junior time. That's why I was thinking Sword Quest. That was one of the first.
See, that
games.
earns the $40 gift card right there because he had extra trivia.
Oh, jeez. That's my YouTube revenue for 3 years right there. I mean, come on, Glenn. I thought maybe one more box he might need, but I opened up too much on the second box.
I don't get the boxes anywhere else, man. I gotta get a box wherever I can.
Okay, Wagner, send an email to TheRexerShow@gmail.com and you will get that $30 gift card. And thanks for playing. See how easy it is, guys? You just got to study up, and every time we'll have something fun like this. But
I feel like this trivia is optimized for Gen X or older.
Well, it was. But here's the thing.
I got to lobby a complaint.
You see, if we do this again, I will do the same thing, but I'll bump it up to like PlayStation. Yeah,
I was a Dreamcast guy.
Wait, David, how old
64
are you?
guy. I'm 34.
You're baby.
I know.
P-Dubs,
you like?
He's got a sick haircut though. I mean, but
I had to fix it earlier, man. I was at the gym earlier. I came back. I sat down for the camera. I looked like a crazy man. By the way,
sick fade.
Appreciate that. Hey Rex, you asked me a question earlier. I didn't have the info up. You asked what was in the instruction manual for that little thing. I have it. Do you want me to?
I want to know what it
quick?
says. Yeah,
it is kind of interesting, and as you mentioned, Cool Toy covered this too. All right, so connecting micro SD card. We're talking about the little micro console arcade one up. Step 1: insert micro SD card into card reader. Create a new for your computer. Card reader in your computer. Create a folder named Game, and that's what it says. And micro SD card root. And then open Game folder and place the game ROMs you need to play. Now, what's interesting is it specifies which consoles you can use: NES, SNES, GBA. Yes, I say NES and SNES. GBA, Genesis, and 2600. The fact that they call out those consoles specifically made me think that's an official thing. It doesn't say, for example, it's like it's concrete. We're going to have these consoles games represented.
Is there any way, Glenn, that they can have the licenses for every single game from those consoles and say
not every game?
No, but they do. Obviously, they do have licenses, and we know John D. That's kind of his thing. He's got a lot of contacts in the industry.
But the instructions didn't say put our licensed games on there. It said,
I know. So
okay,
it's just a weird thing. Like I said before, and also what P-Dub said before, that Arcade One Up has always been very stringent at saying we don't support piracy. So it's gonna be interesting if there's some type of lockout on there. The ROMs have to be encrypted from the website. I don't know. It's interesting, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it is. Okay, P-Dubs, you want to give any plugs or anything? We got to wrap this show up. I appreciate everybody coming on, and I appreciate all you guys watching in the chat. And if you guys missed it, Wagner got a $30 gift card, that lucky SOB. And Glenn, I'm billing you $25 for your answer.
Okay, we got to take that out of installments because I've only made about 3 cents on my channel these past 5 years. So
you're just gonna have to go really obscure when Glenn's gonna be on the channel.
I know. I was thinking of that too. I'm like, Glenn's gonna get some of these. I was I forget. Oh, I was gonna do Centipede, and you know how it's got that pink on it. I go, he'll get that. I go, if he sees that pink, he's going to get it in the first one. And,
Now, if it was Custard's Revenge, I probably would have got that in the first one.
oh, geez. I'll have to remember. We're gonna bump it up to PlayStation 2, and then maybe is that out of you? Okay,
I want to
good.
see Dreamcast, N64, or Super Nintendo.
There we go. That's what we'll do next time, guys. But okay, P-Dubs, back to you.
Oh, I can do my plug now.
You can do your plug now. You know how I do it. I just go on.
The wife and kid are flying back home to Chicago for the next 5 or 6 days to visit family. And what do you know? I just happened to take vacation from my real job. So over the next 5 or 6 days, I'm going to be dropping so much goddamn content. It's going to be ridiculous. Every 5 minutes, P-Dubs is going to be on the air, annoying the hell out of the haters and making the promoters happy. It's going to be awesome. So, yep. Get ready, guys. The next 5 days are going to be hell.
Hold on. Let me go unsub and unclick that bell for a couple of weeks. Just for a couple of weeks.
How dare you?
Don't do that.
But everybody, make sure you click the bell when you guys sub to people. Then you can get the notifications.
Yes,
then you
very
know when
much
we're
that.
streaming. You got to click the bell. You see what's coming. You just did the video on the handhelds. You said you loved it. You pre-ordered them.
Man, stop saying that. Somebody probably just tuned in, and then they're going to run around and think I like this thing. I don't like it. No, I actually don't have any content planned right now, so we'll see. I'm going to be on vacation for a while, but I'll just keep an eye on stuff and try to cover what I can. But any videos I had planned are currently out, so unfortunately, I got nothing. However, that was the worst hype train of all time. However, sub my damn channel and get notifications, and you'll be surprised. Right? How about that?
There you go. Glenn, now you shared a piece of information with me earlier. Can you share that? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I can a little bit. I was actually surprised it came out because this is something we were working on since February. But then, this thing kind of happened around the world. We were working with Micro Center to carry my products, and the people at B spotted my Tron stick already at the Micro Center on the shelf.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to be dealing a lot more with Micro Center. My yoke and other items will be available through the Micro Center. So if there's one near you, you will see them there. So we're finally chiseling away out of the little box here and making it out there. So I want to thank, first of all, people for supporting me this whole time. As far as content, I'm going to admit, I feel like I'm kind of burnt out a little bit. So my videos have been kind of few and far between, but I redone my studio here a little bit more room. So I'm not gonna be like P-Dubs because there won't be enough. After you put so much stuff out there won't be much room for me to squeeze out, but I'll get a couple of videos out there, I'm sure.
Hey, you guys are making me feel bad because I don't have the green screen with a nice cool backdrop,
Or a nice white honeycomb.
I thought that was a backdrop, David.
Yeah,
Is that a backdrop of the window?
I'm
He's
using
using
some
a green
stuff in this
screen.
room. Listen, I have a huge desk, huge mahogany desk. There's no way to position this in this room to give you guys a good view. I'm sorry.
My God. Can you imagine that? David's like, what green screen background should I use? Oh, wait, I saw something in Good Housekeeping. I'm going to use that one for the
Hey,
Arcade
man,
TV podcast show.
When y'all zig, I zag, dude. That's just what it is. Everybody's got the dramatic backdrop, right?
Guys,
I got this haircut and my eyes. All right, we'll just go with that.
Hey, Glenn, can you see what's playing in the back, Glenn? I did in that little TV.
Is that combat? I can't see it. So remember, I'm old. I'm an old guy here.
I'll flash it up really quick.
What is that?
Wait, let me move my head.
Space Invaders.
Yeah, there you go.
Wait,
that's what sold Atari back in the day. That was the killer app.
Yep, there you go.
Guys, you got to hit the thumbs up button. Support Rex. UC,
absolutely.
Glenn's Retro Show. Hit that thumbs up button.
Hit
do
the
it
thumbs
right
up.
now.
And leave a comment if you want us to do episodes 3 and 4, and then maybe we'll do another one on 5 and 6 because there's probably something to talk about. Always, Glenn has more information than Wikipedia
don't shut up.
on some of this.
Do we know where it ends? Does it go up to the current year? Does anybody know that?
I don't know. I don't know how far it goes, but that'll be interesting to see. But I know they do Sega at some point. I think somebody was saying, and and they do Sonic, like a Sonic episode. One of them's about Sonic. But
they don't cover Mario, but there's a Sonic episode. Makes sense.
Yeah. Glenn, I feel like you still thumb through your Encyclopedia Britannicas for information. Like you still read those.
I would love to, but I'm half blind. I would never see that small text. I got my freaking look. I have these all over the place. I don't know if this will come through with my green screen, but that's all I got around the place. These suckers. I can't see nothing.
Don't feel bad, Glenn. I actually had cataract surgery years ago, a year ago or two, and I'm not that old, so That's how
Well,
bad
I
my
gotta
eyes
say
are.
this. I mean, David, Unqualified Critics, and P-Dubs, they have great content. But Rex, man, these shows you do, come on, man. These things are great. These things are great. He puts a lot of work and effort into these things, man. And I enjoy these things. These
Good.
things are awesome.
Thank you, man.
Hey, guys,
I agree. Rex, your live shows are underrated, man.
Thanks,
for
man.
having me on.
I appreciate it. We got great
Speaking
fans
of
too.
live
Guys.
shows in 20 minutes. Unqualified Critics is going to reveal the At Games pinball machine on his channel in 20 minutes.
Jesus.
What?
No, these are false accusations. By the way, P-Dubs, all right.
Fake
So
news.
hey, it's the ALU 1.1. Man, nobody wants to click on a video that says 1.1. I'm calling it Gen 2. I'm never gonna call it 1.1.
Oh my god, that was so funny. Yeah,
It's the worst branding I've ever seen in my life. Now, so I stopped calling it 2.0 though. I'll call it Gen 2.
It looks like episode 6 will be Doom.
Doom. That's
According
what
to
it ends
Adam.
on.
I was such a shit. David posted his video and he called it the At Games 2.0. Oh, is now out. And I wrote a comment. I'm like, it's the At Games 1.1. I was just trying to be funny.
I know, but seriously, I can't believe how are they calling it 1.1?
I don't know. They should just call it 2, right?
Yeah,
Not 3
or something.
Right.
No,
Why don't you guys go get on Zoom on your own and talk about?
By the way, someone in the chat is claiming this is a paper mache thing. It's not. It's actually pretty sweet.
It's
got
green
them all throughout
screen.
my house.
Man.
Yeah,
It's actually fake. He's got a green
Yeah,
screen.
that's what. Well, P-Dubs busted me out. He knows that this is an HGTV backdrop.
P-Dub's backdrop looks really cool. He's got the lighting good and everything. You can tell it's top notch.
Hey, I'm up in my game, baby. I gotta hit 1,000 subscribers at some point, right?
That's right.
P-Dubs, what did that monster microphone you use on your At Game show?
Oh,
what did that cost? That thing has to be a fortune.
Is that a Blue Yeti?
It's way more than that.
No, that's that back there. It's like, geez, that's like a $400 mic.
Yeah, that's way beyond the Blue Yeti. I have a Blue Yeti. Those are like $100.
Me and Glen don't make that YouTube money like you guys. Me and Glen.
Well, let me explain something. Let me explain something. Sometimes I have a problem, right? Like, I'm not trying to beat my chest, but I spend a lot of money, right? And I buy this crap, and then I set it to the side and forget about it, right? So, like, I buy this $400 mic, and I haven't used it. Like, I used it once. I'm still using the $100.
That sounds familiar. It sounds like people buying one-ups. They set them aside and they don't really play them.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. Oh, here comes the hate mail.
Yeah. Well, no, nothing's in storage, Rex. I'm just saying that, it's just been set to the side.
Why though? Is there a reason why?
People in general do, it seems like a lot of people put them to the side. And
do you not like that heavyweight mic? I mean, it seems like it sounds great. Is it just
all right, guys? What is this?
The new mic is awesome.
Have you seen this mic, Rex? You're acting like this isn't
Rex, tase him. You got to tase him, Rex. Do it.
84 pounds.
Rex,
all right, we're signing off, guys.
Rex,
we're signing off.
We're rating your stream. We're taking it over, baby.
I know. But you and Glenn, UC, could talk forever. I think if you just let you guys open the mic and go, it'd be like forever.
That's
all
why
right, you gotta go. Say bye, guys. Thanks everybody for